morning, everybody. How you feeling, Victory Middle School? Good. You're like, who is this guy up here? Well, Zach bailed on you this. I'm sorry. He had more important. He had better things to do. So you got me. My name's David. I'm one of the pastors, one of the ministers on staff here, and I'm taller than 4'11". I don't know how to do this. All right. I need y'all's help. It's not usually a good look to just show up and ask for help right off the bat, but I need your help. My wife and I, we have this ongoing fight in our marriage, and it's just really taking its toll. And it's just a sticking point, and I feel like we can't make it to the next step in our love for each other because this thing just keeps getting in the way. So I need your help. One of us believes that there are two different types of candy. One of us believes that the best type of candy is chocolate. One of us believes the best is sour. So you've got like your different families, right? You've got your chocolate, and then you've got your sour. One of us is right, and I'll reveal who that is in a second. I'll reveal what's the truth. But I need your opinions, okay? So here we go. If you think that, like, let's take the two quintessential. So chocolate would be represented by like M&Ms, and sour would be like Sour Patch Kids, okay? So if M&Ms are the best, raise your hand. Yeah. Okay, all right, we got a lot of noise there. Now look, if Sour Patch Kids are the best, raise your hand. Okay, look. Oh wow, there was a silent contingent there that y'all are confident though, but it looked like it was split in half. So look, I'm telling you, this gets in the way. This is a big problem in my marriage. I need your help. Here's what we're going to do. If you feel passionate about the stance you just took on what's the best candy, M&Ms, Sour Patch, representing their families, chocolate and sour. If you feel confident and you'd be willing to speak about that here with us this morning, raise your hand. Okay, M&Ms. Who M&Ms would speak about it? Okay, y'all just volunteered, but all right, one of y'all, are y'all? Okay, come on up. Come on up. All right, you want sour? Okay, all right, come on up. All right, what are y'all's? Let's make sure this is socially distanced here. So, about like that. What are y'all's names?
Emily.
All right, we got Emily here representing M&Ms. Okay, what's your name?
Cameron.
All right, we got Cameron here representing Sour Patch Kids. Okay, look, just to get this argument super heated, you guys need to hold this and maybe wave it in each other's face when you're arguing. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Emily, Cameron, I want to give y'all a chance to really make your point, okay? And look, there's no comment. It's as black and white. Either M&Ms or Sour Patch Kids. To win them all, to end the argument about what's the best kind of candy, okay? So I'm going to give the mic here to Emily first, and you need to explain. Look, we're all not here. You're just talking to Cameron right now, and you need to convince him that you're right, because you are right. You need to convince him that M&Ms are better than Sour Patch Kids.
Chocolate is just better than sour because it melts in your mouth and it tastes very good. Most of the time I feel more like I want chocolate than something sour, especially if you want a dessert. If you want to have a brownie or chocolate ice cream, then say Sour Patch Kid ice cream or a Sour Patch Kid brownie.
That was perfect. I can't see how you can have a rebuttal to this. We'll give Cameron a chance.
The thing is, those melt in your hand. These don't.
Oh.
Don't leave them in your hand long enough for it to melt. Put them in your mouth.
Cameron, what else you got? Explain why Sour Patch.
So if you're with your friends, these just, there's more that come in this.
Different flavor.
Yeah, different flavors. They're all the same, just different colors.
Are you calling M&M's fake?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Now here's what I want. Okay. Is there any let's make our last arguments. I'm going to give you your last chance. How are you going to convince us, everybody, convince Emily that Sour Patch Kids are better than chocolate?
Because sometimes I can make you make a face, and especially the watermelon flavor.
All right. Closing thoughts. Good job, Cameron. Hold on. Emily, you got your chance to respond too. Convince this guy over here. He's lost. Okay, we're about reaching the lost. Make sure that he understands that M&Ms are the best.
M&Ms are the best.
And why not Sour Patch Kids?
Because they're sour and chocolate's just better.
Are we convinced? All right, hey, give him a round of applause. Y'all. Give me those. I'm going to eat those. I'm just kidding. You take them. Hey, good job. All right. So I think that solves it. M&Ms truly are the best. If you have a problem with that, come see me after. We'll pray for you. Okay, so we're kicking off a new series called Trending, and Zach asked me to talk about arguing. We're going to talk about arguing. So I was trying to start a fight up here, but Emily and Cameron are just too nice, and they really went easy on each other, but you could see there was some tension building over a pretty trivial topic. Today we're going to talk about arguing. According to some studies, we spend about almost an hour a day arguing with people in our families. Does that resonate? Anybody? It sounds like it's not enough for you? Okay. We average about 6 arguments a day with our families, 6 different arguments, which is 42 arguments a week, which is 180 per month, which is about 2,000 a year. That is a lot of time arguing. Would you agree? We spend a lot of time arguing. And if you're like me, you just find yourself in these sometimes pointless arguments with people. Or you're watching and you see other people arguing. It's just there all the time. We argue all the time. Sports, politics, family stuff, friendship drama, Ritter's or Hoosiers cupboard. Is LeBron James really the greatest of all time? There are plenty of things. It's Michael Jordan, by the way. But there are plenty of things to argue about. We want to argue about things all the time, and so many things in our culture are driven by arguing. But do you ever feel like we argue too much? Do you feel like argument is too much of what's going on in our world right now? Maybe you got in an argument recently. Maybe you had one this week that's on your mind. Maybe you had an argument on the way to victory this morning. I don't know, but we're always arguing. And is it usually about something real big and important, something that really matters? It's usually not. It's usually about things like M&Ms and Sour Patch Kids. It's usually about things that don't really amount to anything. It's funny, I have 2 kids, 4 and 2 years old, and I watch them argue about the same stuff that my sister and I argued about. And my sister and I are a year and a half apart, so same as my kids, boy and girl. And the things they fight about are their toys. Oh my goodness, I really want this toy, and I haven't seen it for a month, or I've seen it and never wanted to play with it, but now that you have it, I want it too. The thing that they argue about is food all the time. Oh, she got more, he got more, let's fight all about that. They argue about what we're going to watch on TV. I can just see the same thing that I did with my sister in my kids. And most of us probably feel like arguments are always bad, right? We got this feeling like, conflict, I don't really like it. I don't want it to be a big point in my life. But actually, what I want to convince you of, one thing I want to convince you of, is that not all arguing is bad. Actually, arguing can be good. In some cases, arguing can actually be good if it's done in a way that's helpful, if it's done in a way that's respectful. And sometimes we call this debate, if you've ever heard the term debate. Actually, maybe in high school, I don't know, middle school does it, but there's a debate team because arguing can actually be good if it's done in the right way. If we learn how to argue in a healthy way, then we can protect our friendships and our family relationships and everything. But conflict is a part of life because conflict is a part of relationships. If you got a relationship with somebody, a friendship, somebody in your family, there's going to be conflict because we're people and this is just our nature. We disagree on things. We have the ability, God gave us the ability to think differently, to think freely. So you got opinions that not everybody holds. You've got these interests that not everybody cares about and different experiences that shape the things that you think about the world. So we're going to argue because we have relationships. And at some point it's going to happen, but it can be a good thing. And I'm going to tell you why it can be a good thing. All right, so check this out. Arguing can be good because it means that we care a lot about what we're arguing about. Are you going to argue about something you don't really care about? Maybe if somebody invites you on stage and is going to give you candy or something, and maybe there are some people who just like to argue. But most of the time, almost all the time, when there's an argument, it's because we care. If you don't care about something, you're not going to jump in there. So just the fact that you're in an argument means that you care about what you're arguing about. A lot of people think arguing is bad and that it doesn't have any place in Christianity, but that's just not true. A lot of people think you can't argue someone into the kingdom. Well, there's a few stories of the Apostle Paul in the New Testament where he actually goes and sits with people who don't agree with him on who Jesus is. And it says that he reasoned with them and he had debate with them. And as a result, the Holy Spirit convicted them and many of them came to know Jesus. So arguing can be healthy. It's not something that we just need to always run away from. But what we're going to talk about this morning is how to do it in a healthy way. Here's another reason why arguing can be good, because arguing tells us that we care about the person that we're arguing with. Okay, follow me here. If you're arguing with somebody, then you care about what that person thinks. That makes sense. Or else you wouldn't argue with them, right? You would just leave it. That's called apathy, not caring at all what they think. Doesn't matter to me. But because you're engaging with somebody on a disagreement or debating with them, you're signaling to everybody else, I care about what you think. So we can't lose sight of that. Arguing can be good because it ascribes value to the other person. I care about what you think. When my wife and I were doing premarital counseling, before we got married, one of the activities we had to do about conflict was they made us put on oven mitts when we were arguing, like as training, because first off, I think these came with the building. Look how old these things are. They say FMCC on them. But if you're wearing the oven mitts, the other person can't talk. That's the rule. So this was the premarital counseling thing. And there's two things this does. Number one, I've got the mic right now, so you can't interrupt me. Vice versa when my wife was wearing them. And the other thing is, like, how serious can you take me when I'm arguing with you? And I can't point at you. That's another thing. And I've got these oven mitts on. It's goofy, right? So it kind of deflates it. It depersonalizes it. And it reminds you that I care about you, and I'm not going to take this so seriously to where it's, fists up, let's have a real heated argument. So that's a reminder to me sometimes about those oven mitts, that we're in this argument because I care about you. Not just the topic we're talking about, but I care about you. One constant fight or argument in my house is about sunscreen. When you get old, sometimes you become the sunscreen police. And I'm so thankful for it. And I remind myself the reason I'm anti-sunscreen, and I know that's not right. I need to get better about this. But my wife keeps reminding me, hey, more and more of your head is exposed every year. So you're missing some spots where you used to not have to put sunscreen. I'm like, what are you trying to say? Just say it. So she puts some sunscreen on my head and back in places that I didn't know I needed it. And it's a constant argument because I don't want to wear it, but she's right. And why does she care about sunscreen? Does she just love sunscreen? No. She loves me. She loves our kids. She wants to protect us. You all had a sunburn before? That's not fun. So she's trying to be loving and argue that you should wear sunscreen. So when you argue with somebody, you care about what you're saying, and you care about the person who you're arguing with. A lot of times, we don't want to argue with people, so we'll just try to avoid it. We'll just try to run away from the argument, and we will end up avoiding the person altogether. And that's a bad thing when we get to that point, because if you've got this unresolved beef with somebody that you go to school with, or somebody in your family, then you just notice that you kind of try to avoid them, try to avoid being around them. So relationships can suffer from that. And really what you need to do is have a debate or have an understanding, a time where you can communicate with the other person so that you can not have this awkwardness. It is so awkward when you're trying to avoid somebody or you ghost somebody because you just don't want to, you've got some unresolved conflict that could have been solved with a healthy argument. Arguing can also make us avoid not just the topic, but can avoid the person. So we get to a point where it's not that we're not thinking about the argument we had with the person, we're just talking about it with other people. In other words, talking behind their backs. You get in an argument with somebody in your class or somebody at school, it's not that it goes away or you don't really think about it anymore. You're just not talking to the person you need to. You're talking to your friends. You're talking behind their back. And that's not where we want to be at all. What good does this do? It just always tends to make it worse. So a healthy conflict should only involve the people whom the conflict is about. The people who need to be involved in the conversation. It shouldn't involve all these other people. It just makes it worse. If you've had that experience before, you know that's the truth. So another reason arguing can be so bad, and the way it can get so out of hand, is because the way we approach arguments is this way. We just want to win, and we just want to be right. Yeah, sometimes you lose sight of the whole thing that you were arguing about in the first place, and you just want to be right. None of us want to lose. We want to win, and we want to be right. So we look at argument as not we're going to come to some common ground, but either you win or I win. And if you win, that means I lose, and I don't like losing. You don't like losing anything, right? So we bring this mindset to arguments, and we just want to win. And we want to win like you want to win playing baseball or volleyball or basketball or whatever. We want to win at all costs. I want to destroy my opponent. And we take that attitude to arguments sometimes. And this is just not a healthy thing to do, to have a winner and a loser. Is that really how argument is supposed to happen? So when we engage with somebody, so many times we don't even have any intention in listening to what they're saying. I've got this point. M&Ms are better. M&Ms are better, and if you don't understand that, then you're wrong. And there's no room for opening our minds to the possibility that there might have a point over here. This is how so many people look. We should be talking about this out there, because this is an adult issue. Is that we don't seek to understand. We just want to win. What we have made up in our minds is made up, and it's there, and we have no intention of listening to your point. We just want to hammer this in, and we want to win, and we want to be right. And this is a huge, huge thing that's holding us back. So what if arguing isn't about winning at all? What if arguing to be right is actually not right? So conflict happens, but there is a right way and a wrong way to do it. Jesus had conflicts. Jesus had been in arguments, but he handled them in a certain way. So that's what I want to look at here. We're just going to look at one verse today. I love this. It's simple, but it's very profound. One verse. We're going to look at the book of James. Who was James? James was Jesus' half-brother. This is my one tangent I'm allowed today, and it's about the Bible. So this is wild. What would it take for you to say that your brother or sister is God? What would it take for you to say, yeah, my brother, my sister, this is my Savior. This is the Son of God. That's just cringy to even think about, isn't it? James was the half-brother of Jesus. He probably spent most of his life looking at his brother the same way you would. But when he saw Jesus' ministry, when he saw the miracles that he was doing, when he saw Jesus lay down his life, die, when he saw Jesus resurrected in the body, not as a ghost, but Jesus was back in the flesh, saw his scars, had breakfast with him. When he saw that, there's no option except to believe that he was who he says he was. So James, if there's any greater defense of the validity of Jesus being who he says he was than his half-brother saying, he is God, he is my God, it's right there. So just never forget that. But in addition to that, James' book in the Bible in the New Testament is amazing. It's a book about, it's got so much wisdom, it's got so much love, and it instructs the church on how to live now that you're following Jesus. So we'll look at this verse really quick. Here it is. James says in chapter 1, verse 19, my dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry. Look, we're gonna remember this right here, right now. There's quick, slow, slow. Okay, so quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger. Y'all think you can get that? Just remember, one thing quick, slow, slow. Quick to, slow to, slow to. There you go. That's it right there. If you want a blueprint for how to argue as a Jesus follower, this is it. Commit this to memory. Quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry. And who's this talking to? The people with the loudest voice, the people who like to get in arguments a lot? No, I'm looking at the same word you are. It says everyone. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. So slow to speak, does that mean don't say anything at all? No. That just means let's think about what we're going to say. If you think back to a time in your life where you said something and you regretted it, anybody ever say anything you regret? All the time. Oh, it just gets worse. But if you think back to any time where you said something that you regret, it's probably because you spoke too quick. You spoke too soon. You didn't pause and think about it. The other thing, I jumped ahead, but the quick to listen thing is just that we get into arguments and we want to talk. I shoved a mic in your all's face. That wasn't fair. But when you're in an argument with somebody, I've got all these thoughts, all these ideas, let me spew them on you. What if we approached arguments with the first intent to listen, and then to pause, think about what we're going to say, and then finally to become slow to become angry? And this might be the toughest one. This is a total shift, because a lot of times when we argue, it's because we're angry. The anger boils up in us, and we're like, I want to have this discussion with you and argue about this. But anger is not something we should lead with. Am I asking you not to be angry? No, that's impossible. Am I asking you not to express your feelings? No, we're going to have anger. Jesus was angry. But it's how you handled that. And instead of anger, we should lead with love. So this is a big point here. Choose love when you want to hate. Instead of anger, we should choose love when we want to hate. Slow to anger means we're going to choose love instead. We're going to focus on the person above the point. Person and then point. The point I want to make, well, the person I'm talking to is more important. In other words, care more about the person you're arguing with than the point you're trying to make. This is how we argue. This is how we debate with people with a Christ-centered attitude. Arguing is going to happen. It's part of our life. But God doesn't want us to destroy our friendships and our relationships just to be right. Have you ever won an argument and then you get to the end of it and you're like, wow, I don't feel good. It doesn't feel right. That's because you put the point above the person. So this is how we want to move forward here. I'm going to give you 3 quick things to think about that'll help you. Next time you're in an argument, it's going to happen this week probably. Might be minor. I hope it's minor for your sake. But I want you to remember these things. Number 1, memorize the verse. Let's try it again. It's not up there right now. Quick to, listen. Slow to, speak. Slow to. Anger. Y'all got it. This is it. Commit that to memory. You just memorized James 1:19. The second thing is apply it to somebody. So the next time you're in this argument, think about this verse. I can do this. I'm going to listen first. I'm going to speak later. I'm going to seek to understand them, and I'm going to lead with love. Okay? And then the third thing is put yourself in their shoes. The reason we have different opinions is because we come from different backgrounds, different experiences. We like different things than one another. So if you try to empathize with people and say, I wonder why she does like M&M's better. I mean, I think Sour Patch Kids are better, but like, maybe that's just what she grew up with or something. Silly example, but it comes in handy when you're getting in arguments that actually matter and that mean something. So put yourself in their shoes. This is the big point. We'll go back to it one more time just so you remember. Put the person above the point. Care more about the person you're arguing with than the point you're trying to make. Take that with you. You will look vastly different than everything else going on in this world. You will teach adults something when they look at you, because we need a lesson in this. So, when I argue, am I arguing to win or am I arguing to understand? We need to change the goalposts. As a Jesus follower, it's not about winning, destroying the other person, beating them into the submission so they believe what we believe. It's about seeking to understand, leading with love. It's about, this is the last time, being quick to, slow to. Y'all got it. You're awesome. And this is how we can point people to Christ, because we can argue for good reason, but we're going to do it in the right way. Let's pray.